This Uinta Golf PGA Championship update is brought to you by Mountain Land Supply, Zions Bank, Black Desert Resort, Hoops Vision, and Siegfried and Jensen. Now, here's Real Golf Radio's Brian Taylor.
Happy Friday afternoon to you. We hope that you're off of work early. By the looks of the parking garage downstairs, some of our colleagues certainly have left early. I always love parking on a Friday. Breeze in here. I park across 3 or 4 spots, JJ. That's how I roll on a Friday. Because no one's down there.
Wow, that's still pretty bold.
Just go across all the parking
I'm not going to
spaces.
make it personal here right now, but every time I'm in the parking lot, someone does it. It's like, oh, that guy.
Oh.
So you're that guy.
No, I don't have a car that fits across 3 spots. I have that little Golf, man. I barely fit into that thing. All right. Although I fit better now with the weight loss situation. It's good. Joining us on the program now, you heard the voice introduce it. Brian Taylor, BT, joining us. Real Golf Radio is where you can hear him every week. Our show is brought to you by G2G Bars. All natural ingredients and no preservatives make the G2G Bar perfect for anybody who needs a quick, tasty, and nutritious boost. BT on the horn here with us. What's going on, Brian?
Oh, you know what? Just a normal, just kind of regular, boring day at a major championship. Nothing to see here.
Jeez.
Move along.
What do they got to do to spice up these tournaments,
oh my
Brian?
Gosh.
I mean, we got to have some ratings. I mean, why would even anybody watch this stuff?
Listen, so JJ and I spent the first 25 minutes of the program playing the audio from ESPN, from Scottie Scheffler himself, in his post round presser. We read the statement from the Louisville Metro Police. We've been trying to make a comparable situation in the world of sports fit into this, and we can't find it. This is the singular most weird thing I've ever seen an athlete have to go through, and that's before shooting a 66. I mean, plus, at Valhalla, a PGA employee passes away. You have the police situation, a misunderstanding apparently. What do you make of all this? Have you ever seen anything like this across the entire world of sports?
I don't know. In 25 years of covering golf, I've never seen anything quite this bizarre. I mean, Tiger gave us some bizarre stuff, certainly, but not like right around a tournament, right? Like
not at the course, right?
Right, and at the golf course. So let me just give you some context because I think this is important, right? A lot of people, as I've looked at social media, there's the side that says, "Oh, that police officer just found himself a desk job." And then there's the other side that says, hey, just because you're number one in the world doesn't mean you can drive anywhere. And it was a crime scene. You can't just go ripping around it, right? So let me just give some context. So this is such a normal, like everyday occurrence. Augusta National is a great example, okay? It's right on Washington Road, and every year at the Masters, Washington Road is pretty jammed up going both directions towards the club. There's public parking there, and the media comes in there. The players, of course, turn down Magnolia Lane. It is very common. Everybody knows what the courtesy cars look like. They're at Augusta, they're Mercedes with numbers on the back. And they just put their hazards on, and they drive right up the median, right up the middle lane, the turn lane, if you will, in between the oncoming traffic and going the direction of the traffic that's stopped, right? And everybody just waves at them, and they go up and they turn down Magnolia Lane because they're going to work. We're all waiting to go in to watch them work, but they're trying to get into work. And so it's pretty common for them to break traffic laws, whatever you want to call it, get escorted, get some special driving privileges. And so for what Scottie was saying with his credentials, being in a courtesy car, and he can't talk about it, but my limited understanding is some officer said, yeah, just go ahead. But he got up there and another officer wasn't about it. So, and tried to, I guess, stop the vehicle. I don't know. I'll give you another context. My cousin is a 19-year veteran of the Phoenix Police Department, and he and I have been talking today about this. And he said, look, traffic, doing traffic in the dark is really tough. It's dangerous. He said he's almost been run over several times. But he said, I would never, and any good seasoned police officer would never put themselves in between a vehicle to stop a vehicle with their own body. Like it just isn't, I would never grab onto it or anything like that. So it's a little bit, he was a little confused and is anxious to kind of hear more about what happens. But so to say this whole thing has been bizarre. That's saying the least. I mean, it has been very, very unusual what we saw and what transpired this morning.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we'll let all that play out, but I mean, at the end of the day, we're covering a golf tournament here, and whatever happened this morning, Scottie's got to turn around with all those distractions, and for him to go out there and play that well, what do you make of that?
I think that's the biggest testament to his nature, right? To his demeanor, and for him to be able to, he said afterwards that he was shaking, that couldn't get his heart rate down, that he had, the whole emotions that you would have. I mean, most of us get those feelings when we see, lights in a rearview mirror, even if it's not coming for us, you sort of get that adrenaline rush. And so it's for him to be able to just kind of put it aside and compartmentalize and be in the moment, in between the ropes, and go out and shoot a 66. It's remarkable. I mean, I will say this. I mean, he coming off his first hole after becoming a father, he made eagle. His first hole after being arrested for the first time, he made birdie. So I guess fatherhood is a little more inspiring than jail time. I'm just going to put it that way. But no, it was impressive what he did for sure, and we'll see how he does the rest of the weekend.
Speaking of the rest of the weekend, live leaderboard look. You've got quite a it's jammed up there at the top. Xander Schauffele's in the lead right now. He's 3 under for the day. He's 12 under for the tournament, of course, shooting that record 62 yesterday. Colin Morikawa finding himself with a 66 yesterday, 65 today. He's in solo second right now. Tied for third is Scottie Scheffler in that same mix, and Mark Hubbard. Now, Tony Finau finds himself still right there. He's 2 under through 8 today. Tony had a nice first day, and it looks like he's having a nice second day as well.
Yeah, it goes off and birdies the first 2 holes of the second round and is the only player left in the field without a bogey or worse. And so pretty impressive stuff. Xander Schauffele just made a bogey a couple holes ago. And so those were the only 2, an hour ago that had yet to make a bogey in the field. And now it's just Tony. So really awesome to see how he's playing. He was just dialed in this morning. I mean, hitting his spot and making putts on the first 2 holes. Just missed one underneath the hole, just lipped out after hitting a good shot in there and leaving himself with an uphill putt. It broke a little harder than he thought and kind of did that really brutal lip out. But Tony looks like he's in a good spot. It's I love it, right? And Tony said to us after the Masters, he was coming off his worst finish in his worst round, shooting 80 at Augusta in his final round, and he said, "Look, I come out away from here hopeful. I say I'm optimistic. I know my game obviously isn't where it needs to be, but I'm optimistic that it's not far off, and always remaining hopeful." And I thought to myself, well, I appreciate that attitude, but there really isn't anything to suggest that Tony's ready to contend, in this major. He just hasn't really had it, and he admitted as much after the first round this week. But to see him go out and putting this all together is awesome. This is absolutely a golf course that is made for Tony Finau. As I said earlier, it's a big golf course for a big-time player, and Tony's built for that, and it's just cool to see him taking advantage of it right now, and hope he keeps it up.
I know you're watching every hole closely with Tony. In your opinion, based on what you've seen so far, what does he need to do to stay attached and make a run at this over the weekend?
Well, let that putter get hot. He seems to be striking it pretty good. He's, I've watched where he's missing. I've watched where he's hitting it. He's keeping himself out of trouble, obviously bogey free, right? So his putting is still not, he still left a couple out there yesterday, and he's had a couple that haven't gone his way. But for the most part, if he can just keep that putter hot, I think he's right there. I mean, he's facing some stiff competition. It's a great leaderboard, as you pointed out earlier, with some big-time guys, some major champions and multiple major champions. And then you got Schauffele and Finau that are trying to get there first. So, and that's not to discount what Theegala and Hubbard are doing up there, and Thomas Dietrich and some of those guys. But if you're looking at the strength of that leaderboard, you got to like what Xander and Tony are, where they're sitting, trying to get their first major championship. And then, they're going to battle in guys that have already done so in Morikawa, and we'll see what happens, with the rest of these guys as they continue to battle out there.
Brian Taylor, Real Golf Radio. He and Bob Casper every Saturday. Lots to talk about, of course, tomorrow morning for you guys as the round 3 will be underway at that point, and you'll have a lot to talk about on top of all of the storylines that are inside the ropes at the course. But if you are looking at it right now, and Scottie Scheffler's in third place. He's 3 strokes off of at least off of Xander Schauffele. But where does he go? I mean, can he still string the? I would assume after a day like today that he would just be more calm tomorrow and more calm Sunday.
Yeah, what's going to be interesting is tomorrow he'll have a different caddy on his bag. Ted Scott, who's his long caddy for the last couple of years on this big run that they've been on. His I think it's his son or daughter.
Graduating.
I think it was his son graduating high school. So he's headed back. That's something they planned from the beginning of the year, and so he's got a temporary caddy on the bag. So
I saw it was the PGA chaplain who's going to be on the bag. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, a good friend of his, and look, and I'm with you. After what he went through this morning, tomorrow ought to just be pretty normal. I mean, it's going to be an afternoon tee time as he'll be in one of the final groups, and I'm sure he'll drive real carefully to the golf course and take his time and all of those kind of things. But I don't know if you saw the video. They did show him walking. He came back and signed autographs. I thought that was pretty cool with the kids afterwards, even after all he'd been through. And then they showed video of him walking up to the clubhouse, and a couple of the local police officers shaking his hand and slapping him on the back, and he was, doing the same. So, I suspect this thing gets dismissed, but right now he has an arraignment for Tuesday. So
yeah, we were just talking about that. He might win the tournament and then have to hang out for 2 days to get arraigned in Louisville.
Long weekend in Louisville. Long weekend.
They'll toast him with some of that Kentucky bourbon, and then they'll welcome him to the courthouse Tuesday morning.
Man, I'm telling you,
there you go.
It's a wild
mint juleps for Scottie Scheffler on Tuesday. Colin Morikawa. Look, we're talking about Xander Schauffele and his incredible first round and all this drama with Scheffler, but here's Colin Morikawa, 11 under through 2 days, 65 today. He's won the PGA Championship before. How seriously do we need to take Colin?
Yeah, I mean, he's coming off a T3 at the Masters, too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a guy that has the claret jug and has the Wanamaker trophy already. So a 2-time major winner, a guy that hasn't been getting a lot out of his game recently. And so, 3 top 10s on the season this year on the PGA Tour. And as I said, the tie for third at the Masters. So I think you got to take him real serious. I mean, he's playing really well, obviously. And, that's a steady thing. It's interesting that you look at the guys. There's been 462s that have been shot in major championship play, and Xander has 2 of those. Incidentally, none of the 3 players that have shot 62 have gone on to win that particular week. So I don't want – not trying to jinx, you'd always take it like Xander said. It's always a score you're going to take. But you look at the 66, the 65 there, just a steady, really solid play by Morikawa. And you got to be concerned about him if you're at the top of the leaderboard. He's right there and has the experience to win.
All these guys are like, could you arrest me this morning? I need to kind of get myself right, see kind of what's going on here, be able to play better. All right, BT, I've got a personal question for you. So I'm on the bag. I'm on the bag tomorrow for my son playing in one of these these like Utah Junior PGA tournaments. He's a way better golfer than I am. But as just a supportive dad on the bag, give me some tips here.
Well, the standard caddy tip is there's 3 of them. It's show up, keep up, and shut up. That's the general.
He'll probably tell me all of those things tomorrow, by the way.
That's the standard. Now, that was the old school. Today's caddies are much more involved, and I'm talking tour, professional caddies. They're much more involved. The fact that we know people's names and that they're the whole team and all that kind of stuff. But man, I don't know. That's a tough one. I caddied for my son in some junior stuff, and it's way more emotional. It's way more difficult to watch your son play and try to help out without burdening him with too much pressure. So I guess the practical dad advice is to just enjoy it and try to help him stay in the moment, right?
Yeah. So, otherwise, he will because. Yeah, I mean, he's a way better golfer than I ever could be, and he'll know way more. I'm just gonna be like, hey, look, you know what to hit here. Like, I'm not gonna try to give you some wild advice here, about doing it. So yeah, it's a fun time. He's a good little golfer, so I like I love the idea of just being out there with him at least, and that he's actually okay with it.
Yeah, well, that's good. I mean, hopefully it'll be a positive experience for the two of you. Good memories, right?
Yeah.
Let me share my one. I had one caddy experience, and I know you guys have heard this before, but I got a chance to caddy for Billy Casper in his final round at the Masters, and we're on the 12th hole, and he had just made some – we started on the back because there was a rain delay, which is unusual. So we'd gone down 10 and 11, and they weren't good. And we get to 12, and he missed the green left, and we're walking off the 12th tee. And, again, this is Billy Casper. He won the Masters. He's played in, at that point in time,
right,
probably 35, 40 different Masters tournaments. And I'm like, what am I to say here? I'm just carrying the bag, I don't know anything. And I just said, I thought this was kind of a critical, emotional time. So I said to him, I said, hey, Billy. We walked off and he goes, I shouldn't be out here. This is embarrassing. And I said, hey, you should absolutely be out here. You're a past champion. And I just felt like I needed to say that. And I said, just hit that little skipper shot. He called his little pitch and run, a little skipper shot. I just hit that little skipper shot and let's make par and get out of here. He never said anything, but he did that. And we made par and went on. And so that was like my one little thing. Like maybe it was okay that I said what I said then. So there you go. Other than that, I don't know that I ever really did anything to help the guy. Obviously, a much better player than me.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go. Hey, just make par here. You're fine. Just go ahead. It's just that simple. Hey, look,
that's great advice.
I know you're 80 yards out here, and you got to hit this to make par. But just make par, and then let's get out of here. Brian Taylor, Real Golf Radio, tomorrow on the KSL Sports Zone. JJ's got another question.
Yeah, one last thing before we let you go. I just want to get your final thoughts and maybe a prediction for the weekend, how you see this shaping up.
Oh, man. I think this is probably one of the toughest, the PGA Championship, one of the toughest to call. But I think we're going to have a big-name winner here. I really do. I think there's too many big names that are hunting and playing well. I know there's a bunch of other guys in the mix, but I do think we're going to see one of the best players in the world jump up and hoist the Wanamaker Trophy. I mean, the last two winners, here have been Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy. So it's kind of like love what we're seeing here with Xander and with Colin and with Tony and Scheffler, obviously. So I think you're going to see one of the big names step up and take this thing.
Here comes Tagala, too.
Oh, yeah. It's got to be fun.
10 under.
It's so much fun to watch when it is close. By the way, I was looking at the leaderboard, too, and I was thinking Brooks Koepka is going to be in the top three. You freaking watch. He's going to be in one of those final groupings on that Sunday because he'll creep up there, too. Brian Taylor, Real Golf Radio. Excited to see what you guys are going to talk about tomorrow. We'll be in the car driving to one of those tournaments, so we'll be listening into you guys, so we appreciate it, man.
Well, good luck to you guys at your tournament tomorrow, and thanks for tuning in. Dave Stockton, a two-time PGA champion, was back at the Champions Dinner, and he joined us. He's obviously a passionate Ryder Cupper, a former captain in 1991, the War by the Shore, and he joined us because Tiger's supposed to be the next Ryder Cup captain for Bethpage New York next year, and he hasn't really committed, so he's still trying to figure out his schedule. So we got Dave's thoughts on that. That's kind of a side story this week as well, as who might be the next Ryder Cup captain. So that's all part of it, plus the caddy, and obviously sound from the leaders here. So should be a fun morning.
Brian Taylor, appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you again.
Thanks, boys. Always good to talk to you guys. Thanks for the time this week.
You bet.
Thanks, Brian. You're
Absolutely. Fascinating stuff. And he said it too. I've never seen something like that at a golf tournament. I've never seen it anywhere in the world of sports. Absolutely wild.
There's nothing compared. And we've tried. There's nothing that compares to what we witnessed today.
I cannot think of it.
It's an all-timer.
Weirdest day ever. All right. We'll take the break here. We'll come back. We've got more around the corner. By the way, we're going to this portion of the show brought to you by the good folks at Doug Smith Dealerships. Kia, Subaru, Chevy, Jeep, Dodge, Ram. Visit the Doug Smith dealerships in American Fork and Spanish Fork. Great service starts with know-how, and nobody knows like Doug. Do they still do those ads, by the way? If not, if that guy is no longer with us,
I don't know why a check's not in the mail.
If that voice guy is no longer with us, is he?
Leon Redbone?
No, I'm just kidding.
Are we gonna do the Leon Redbone skit again?
No.
You want me to break that out? You know what?
He's no longer with us, is he? Could I cash in on that? I'll do the same voice. Come on. Let's go. All right, we'll take the break. We've got more to go. We've got our NFL Blitz a little bit earlier this week because we've got a guest at 5:30, so we'll jump in some NFL stuff to be joined. Plus, a little bit later, On3 put together a top 100 players of college football for the 2024 season. We'll roll out the insane notion that no local players could be on there, or that are on there.
What?
That's right. No players are on there.
Oh, boy.
Here locally. So, by the end of the year, who is going to be on the list of the top 100 college football players? Could you have some of the local players make that cut at the end if they did that same ranking. We'll come back. More to go around the corner. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
And now, a look at traffic from the KSL Traffic Center.
Eastbound US 6 in Thistle is currently...
All the latest news and notes from the league and the locals in the NFL. JJ and Alex bring you the NFL Blitz on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
What did you call us? Team back
Did
fat?
that make live on radio?
No, I'm just saying. I've never heard that term.
Team back fat? Yeah, that sounds.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, this
You know
segment
what's
brought
funny?
to you by Salt Lake City Fat Loss.
No, I was gonna say because listen, both you and I are on a roll right now.
Doing well. Doing good.
My rolls are on a roll. Here's the thing though. When I do, and this happens every time that anytime I've dropped any weight, you know what my feed on Instagram becomes? Without even knowing it, I'm just watching food videos.
Oh,
It's terrible. You know what I saw
I'm
today?
getting a lot of the high protein.
Oh yeah.
Meal prep
the
stuff.
keto stuff. Yeah, I get a lot of that too.
Yeah.
But even watching just that stuff where they're like, and by the way, I could never. When they're like, just blitz some cottage cheese with a little bit of and some chicken in your food processor, and you can make an at-home pizza crust with it. And you're like,
Or I could just go down to Little Caesars.
I'm not gonna make a chicken pizza crust. I
No,
know,
you're
I know. Sounds great. I'm not gonna do it. But anyway, bottom line is, one of the ones that I saw, this guy got a pork belly, right? And he goes, get it with the skin on.
Pork belly.
Get it with the skin on.
Oh my gosh.
And he cut them long way. Okay, so you have these. I'm showing you right there. Basically the size of a ruler. So if you can picture that, and thick. You know what he did?
18 inches long.
Throws it in there. He puts it in he boils them with a bunch of spices and stuff like that. So they're cooked through, and then he throws it in the fryer.
Oh,
And they get like he's holding it, JJ. He's holding it a full-on pork belly strip that has been totally fried, and he's just like, and I am watching it, and like my wife goes, "That's disgusting." I go, "That's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life." Are you kidding me? Are you guys okay?
That's a man's popsicle right there.
He does the thing where he has the knife and he's like showing you how
Pork
crunchy
belly
it is.
lollipop. I'm in.
We could eat that, right? Can we?
Probably like 4.5 ounces of it, maybe.
Crazy. All right. There you go. NFL Blitz, brought to you by Backfat. So Tua Tagovailoa, he wants a new deal. Had a great year last year. Wants a new deal.
We've talked about quarterbacks getting paid. He's
wants
the
to get
next.
paid.
He's up.
Well, here's the thing, though. Because the more you wait, is it just because, in my mind, the Dolphins are like, no, play better. Play good right now, and let's do it, and we'll do it next year.
He had a pretty darn good season last year.
I know, but maybe that money at the end of next year, by the way, is going to be $58 million a year for these quarterbacks that are top 8.
I understand what the Dolphins would be doing with the incentive-laden contract because, yeah, Tua obviously has had an injury history.
Yes.
Tua is not the biggest quarterback in the league, and Tua is also not very mobile. I don't think that's talked about enough.
And multiple
Tua just
concussions.
sits back there and just gets absolutely drilled. He's not the most mobile quarterback in the NFL.
Right.
And injuries are a serious concern. I don't want to throw $120 million guaranteed at a guy who may not make it, and he's probably one hit away from being out of the league. I'm not kidding about that.
No, I know. No, this is full on. These haven't been just like your run-of-the-mill concussions too.
His concussions have gone viral.
They've been,
you know what I mean?
Bad. It's the ones that you see that they use them for training. You know what I mean? You're like, look at his arms. See how they're doing that thing? What do they call it? The fencing arms or whatever it is. Goes down and then their arms get stiff.
The seizure type.
It looks
feel. Yeah,
awful.
It's not.
And yeah,
easy
you're
to
right.
watch.
And it's a hard thing because in the end you go, so this team's going, yeah, we don't want to pay you right now because what if you get your head hurt again? Like, that's a terrible thing to think, right?
Yeah, but I get it.
That's the business.
That is the
business. So he's sitting out of OTAs. to try to kind of force the team's hand a little bit in renegotiating that deal or extending or whatever it's going to be. And I get it. That's what you'd want to do anyway. You would try to get extended so that you can get paid because you don't know how long this career is going to be either. And there's so much more guaranteed money now, right? So much more guaranteed money. Because if Tua gets it now, he'll get less because of his history, right? But I bet you would still see between $75 and $100 million of guaranteed dollars, right?
I would think so, yes.
Something around there.
Yeah.
And that's like, what's crazy is that's
low
now.
I mean, Jared Goff is getting how much?
180, yeah, for guaranteed.
So
230 for.
Would you take Tua or Jared Goff today? Which quarterback would you pick if you get to choose?
I like the name Jared Goff though. I want that.
We just got done talking a lot of golf today. Forgive me.
I'd rather have Jared Goff. Yeah.
I'd rather have Tua. I think Tua's the more dynamic passer.
Okay.
So
you just told me he's not even mobile.
I only bring that up because I get Jared Goff's not exactly Lamar Jackson either.
One's throwing to Amon-Ra St. Brown, the other one's throwing to Tyreek Hill. Like it's a little bit sixes in the All-Pro wideout.
But even if they're sixes, okay, let's say it's a tie. We think they're both in that like 10 to 12 range of NFL quarterbacks. Then Tua has every right to say, "I want Jared Goff money."
Yeah.
So I understand what he's doing. I don't care about the Dolphins, so I don't care about the story. But I get why Tua's doing this.
I want Jared Goff money.
We all want.
I'm gonna go talk to Nate after this.
Marshall's office.
I want. Give me that Jared Goff money.
Yeah. Did you hear about this?
He's not even mobile.
I want this. I want this contract.
Give me this.
Give me that.
Did you see that one of the?
Anytime we get, I think you can leave. I think you should leave references in the show. I do
Give me that hamburger. Just give me that. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. But give me that.
Give me that.
I watched the other one the other night with, I can't remember who it was, but he goes, when they go and they're doing the famous back and forth, he goes, I saw some of that gazpacho soup in your fridge. Can you give me some of that gazpacho soup?
Yeah.
And then he eats the gazpacho and he goes, spits it out. He goes, that would burn my lip. And they go, what are you talking about? It's room. And he goes, let me explain something. When you're expecting ice cold soup and it's room temp, it feels like you're burning your lips off. It feels like your body's on fire. Please go watch it without your kids.
Gazpacho burned his lips.
Feels like your face is on fire. Feels like your body's on fire. All right?
Good stuff.
One of the weirdest quirks in the NFL schedule. Did you see this? I've never seen something like this. The Bears and the Steelers, both, on their schedule, aren't playing a divisional opponent until week 11, which means the rest of their entire season is all division games, right?
That's odd. Why did that happen?
Hey, what happened? Isn't it at that point it's a computer, right? Now,
I don't know.
The Steelers, we know that they could have had one earlier, but the schedule people decided that they wanted Russ to be in Denver for week 2. And you know what? God bless him. I wanted to.
I kind of like the division thing at the end of the year.
Pressure's off? Or pressure's on?
Because, week 1, I mean, a lot of teams are still figuring themselves out. It's kind of like college football, right? Do you want to play your most important conference games like in August or September?
No, you want to be able to. Yeah, it's exactly right. So
you want to build up to it. And so I think in the NFL, if we really want divisions to matter, create some build up before those divisional games, because that's when the playoff positions and seeding will be determined. And you get to battle it out with your division mates to figure it out. I like it.
The old division mate. Here's the thing, though. Did you see? I mean, we talked about that. There's a week 0 ACC conference game.
That can't happen.
That's wild.
Now, I thought Arizona and Oklahoma State and Utah playing in September was bad.
Wild. But here's what they have. Because week 11, you start to go in there, you'll be playing teams maybe in your division that have already lost 3 games in their division.
Right.
So you're like, come on. They're like, you guys stink. And they might be thinking to themselves, well, we're out. We're already out. It's week 13, and you've only played 2 division games.
It'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Crazy. The 49ers, also part of the schedule rollout, facing 4 teams that are going to be coming off bye weeks. That's the most in the NFL. So the idea is, of course, you're facing 4 opponents who are all going to be well rested and maybe getting themselves right after injury.
You were just in the Super Bowl. Shouldn't you have the hardest schedule? I have no problem with that.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, well, do you schedule it and go? Well, you were in the Super Bowl. You need a harder schedule. That's not how it works, right? Everybody has to have some sort of semblance of it being a little bit more down the line. But I get your point.
I've got an NFL Blitz. Would you rather?
Oh, let me hear it.
Would you rather be the 49ers facing 4 teams coming off a bye this year, or would you rather be the Chiefs playing on 6 of the 7 days of the week this year?
Ooh. See, I'm still trying to figure out how we can get Tuesday into the rotation. We already got a Wednesday. We've got Christmas Day on a Wednesday. They could have very well gotten Christmas Eve in, and they could have played.
Yeah, why didn't they do that?
I don't know. So Chiefs are playing.
Tuesday night football just doesn't sound right.
The UFL's
Tuesday night football on the CW.
I know the UFL's all. Can we trademark that? How are they
Which
doing?
network gets Tuesday night football?
How many?
Who bids for Tuesday night football?
Hey, is it the UFL Super Bowl already yet, or no? Where are they? I know you follow them pretty closely, the Birmingham Stallions. Where are they at in their division?
We just lost our audience.
They're all the UFL. See, in the break, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to look up the UFL standings because that's the kind of guy I am. All right?
The UFL standings.
Week 8 is
We're
upcoming?
Week 8 already. Okay.
How many games do they play? They only play 10. All right.
We're almost done. Who's been eliminated? That's what I want to know.
Boy, you know what's tough is
you're a UFL geek if you know who's already been eliminated from the UFL playoffs.
Somebody's playing their first division game in Week 8 here in the UFL. The Jets apparently getting a little bit of publicity with Aaron Rodgers at the helm. Could they be Super Bowl contenders? I don't think so. But this article by Mike Clay and ESPN kind of goes through and gives you the argument for it. They've got an elite defense, an offensive line getting better. Some of the supporting staff on offense also getting better. Way better offensive line. Aaron Rodgers is back. You're going to look real silly, JJ, when you're laughing at me when my Jets win the Super Bowl.
Your Jets?
I was this close to getting season tickets that I could sell. Yeah, for a long time, Jeremy, our producer who looked it up, and actually I think you called somebody, right? So Jeremy was getting phone calls from like their season ticket sales rep who's like, you got to pull the trigger on those Jets tickets for me there, Jeremy, out in Utah. So there you go.
You're the only New York Jets season ticket holder in Utah.
It was actually quite inexpensive compared to what you could have been getting somewhere else.
You'd actually be surprised how many NFL season ticket holders live in Utah.
That's what I'm saying.
Especially in St. George.
Lots of Raiders fans. Yeah, and the thing about the Jets one is you didn't have to buy the seat license, which is now every team does the whole, well, you pay $20,000 for the seat license then, and you own that seat, but now you don't own the tickets. We'll sell you the tickets. Like, you see how crazy that sounds?
Yeah.
The Raiders are all, it just sounds like money to me, and we need it. All right. We'll take a break. We'll come back. And let me see here. Oh, yes. When we return, no local players in the top 100 lists in college football, at least for the On3 network. We'll roll out some of the guys who should have been on the list or guys who have the potential to be in the top 100 of college football players at the end of this year. Stay with us, 97.5 EKSL Sports Zone.
It's time to get the inside scoop on the Utes. This is your Utes Daily Update with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Utes Daily right here, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Saw this list and I thought, this is a talker right here. Let's jump into some college football conversations. No local player. Now, take with this a grain of salt, maybe a block of salt from the On3 network to be able to kind of see where the top 100 is. This top 100 and BYU's top 100 for JJ. He's just fuming.
Oh, yeah.
He's frothing at the
Let me tell you
mouth.
what grinds my gears.
What'd you say about the top 100 in the
Kim
country?
Rising on the top 100, that grinds my gears.
So here's the funny thing, all right? I thought for sure that there would be. Here's the crazy thing. Let me just give you the top 5. All right. You probably don't know who James Pierce is, but he is an edge rusher for Tennessee. He'll likely be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. Fine. It's not often you see an edge rusher, though, ranked number 1. Okay? So Luther Burden, wide receiver for Missouri, had an insane year last year. Missouri had an insane run. Kelvin Banks, again, offensive lineman from Texas. Fine. Here's the first quarterback on the list. Carson Beck from Georgia.
Yeah, he's a Heisman favorite.
Right, but you barely knew his name last year. And he had 1 year. And he's a Heisman favorite now because he's at Georgia and they're the number 1 team in the country. Fine. But guess what? In the end, he had 1 year. Cam Rising has had a couple years. The question, because Cam Rising's not on the list. That's the whole thing. I thought if there's going to be a local player on the list, it's going to be Cam Rising.
How many conference championships does Carson Beck have as a starter?
Cam Rising, not on the list. I thought, well, okay, he had a year of injury that prevented him from being maybe in that zeitgeist, people talking about him, right? People chatting about, there's not a lot of buzz around Cam Rising outside of the state of Utah because, frankly, if you go to the Southeast or if you go to the Big Ten country, they forgot his name, right? They're like, is he still playing? Brant Keithy, another guy who is an All-American potential dude. After the injury, people might have forgotten what he could do. Now, the question is, to me, those two guys could very well be on this list at the end of the year. Who else has the potential? Now, somebody who could have a breakout type season at the University of Utah, and we'll ask for some guys here from the other schools too, but because we're talking about the Utes in particular right now, guys who probably should have been on the list. Cam Rising, Brant Keithy. What about Van Fillinger, former Corner Canyon?
As an edge rusher, if he's healthy, there is the potential to be a top 100, much like Jonah Ellis last year.
His backup.
I could see
when the season started.
Exactly. If Van is healthy this year and he has a Jonah-like season, then he would definitely vault himself into the top 100. There's no doubt about that.
Junior Tafuna, now, he's under the radar because he's a tackle on defense. That's always hard.
It's hard to get top 100 recognition when you're not sacking quarterbacks, or throwing touchdowns, or catching touchdowns, or running for touchdowns.
But I think he has that potential, right? I mean, they put an edge rusher and they put an offensive lineman.
He's one of the best defensive tackles in the country.
There you go.
But he is a defensive tackle.
Sure. So he might not get that pub just because of the fact that he's going to be in Utah. And
Brant Keithy, if healthy, could have a 65, 70 catch, 10, 15 touchdown season, kind of like Dalton Kincaid.
Right. Have 800 yards as a tight end.
Was Dalton Kincaid one of the top 100 players 2 years ago? 100% was.
Yeah, I mean, he was drafted, 21st or whatever it was?
Right.
So what about potential-wise? Now, this is all going to be on the shoulders of Cam Rising and also on Andy Ludwig and Kyle Whittingham. But Dorian Singer is coming in as the next guy who's the heralded wideout. The question is can they get him the ball enough to be able to make him part of that conversation? Could he be a 1,000-yard receiver? Now, to be a top 100 guy, you got to be kind of a 1,500 yards as a wideout type of the season.
We're talking about the top 100 college football players in the entire country.
And you got to fit the entire Georgia roster on there, so then you're down to...
Well, I was just going through the list. So there's only 5 Big 12 players in the top 50.
Gosh.
5 in the top 50. The rest of it, look, go check it out. It is very Big Ten SEC heavy, let me say that.
Well.
But that's where a lot of the top prospects are. Now, and if we're really being honest, if you're rating players, it would be much like the NFL draft. How many players in this state are going to be in the top 100 draft picks next year? As good as Cam Rising is he going to be a top 100 draft pick next year? I doubt it. I really doubt it.
So I think it's kind of funny because from Arizona, McMillan, that wideout for him.
He's
top
number
12.
10. Yeah, he's high in the
number
list.
10. I think that's the
Ollie
highest.
Gordon's
there. 11.
And then you're just going through this list. Okay, where's a Big 12 player?
Right.
Where's a Big 12 player? There's an offensive lineman from West Virginia.
Right.
And they're
Gordon,
hard to find.
Ollie Gordon and Quinn Ewers. Those are right next to each other at 10
Quinn
11.
Ewers isn't a Big 12 player anymore.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're right. By the way, by way of announcement, Jackson Dart, 13.
Right.
And listen, if you're at Ole Miss and you're getting that type of buzz, good for him, man.
Imagine if he was at BYU right now. Oh,
Stop.
I shouldn't have done that.
Stop. Why would you do something like that? Imagine if he was still out there at USC. Actually, you know what?
He never would have played it down.
USC is freaking kicking themselves, right? I mean, he certainly wouldn't have had the years. He wouldn't be able to play till right now.
Right.
Travis Hunter is supposed to be the best thing since sliced bread, number 20.
It was kind of like the Zach Wilson, Tyler Huntley thing at Utah.
Yes.
Like he would have just had to sit behind Tyler Huntley and
yes.
wait.
Yes.
His career trajectory wouldn't have been the same, so he made the right decision to go to BYU.
Shadur Sanders. He's a Big 10. He's a Big 12 guy.
Yeah.
Hey, it's not Shadur, it's Shadur.
So I mentioned the 5. 2 of them are Colorado players, and Colorado will have a hard time winning 4 games.
Will be garbage, yes. But again.
But they have 2 of the best players in the country. I don't dispute that. Do I have a problem with Travis Hunter and Shadur Sanders being on this list? I do not.
Okay.
And I have no problem with them being as high as they are.
All right.
Shadur Sanders might be the number 1 pick in the draft next year.
It's Shadur, not Shadur.
Shadur.
Let me see here.
There's more UNLV players on this list than BYU and Utah players. Wrap your head around that.
Wow. UNLV had a breakout
Ricky
year
White,
last year.
wide receiver out of UNLV,
Yes.
number 68.
Yeah. Yeah, by the
Clay
way.
Webb, offensive line, Jacksonville State.
Where's your guy?
Is ahead of Cam Rising.
Where's your guy?
Let me say that one more time. Clay Webb, offensive lineman, Jacksonville State. He's probably really good, but he's an offensive lineman, and number 40 is ahead of Cam Rising on this list. So they're very. This is very much a best NFL prospect list, in my opinion.
Hold on a minute.
Which is fine.
Hold on a minute. Noah Fafita's not on this list at all?
He's not.
They have like 3 guys from Arizona
They
on
have
this list, and
Jacob
Noah Fafita's
Manu,
not
a
one of them.
linebacker out of Arizona. A linebacker from Arizona is ahead of Noah Fafita on this list.
He has 2 wideouts on the list.
Right.
That are his.
Right.
That guess why they're on the map?
We really need to vet these lists before we go on there talking about them. Maybe this isn't
No, but this is why I like getting through it, is going, are you insane? I just assumed Noah Fafita would be a top 25 guy. Right?
Yeah. And like I said, I thought Cam Rising should definitely be on this list. Where you put them, I don't know, but you can't tell. And this is a college. These are the best players in college football.
Yeah.
Like Cam Rising is a 2-time Pac-12 champ.
Okay.
And I understand he's coming off an injury, but he just based on his career accomplishments alone, doesn't he deserve to be on this top 100 list?
Okay.
If you're putting together a preseason All-America team, he's not going to be on it because there's so many good quarterbacks. But top 100, there's got to be room for him there.
Okay. Other local teams, though, if we talked about Cam Rising, Brant Keithy, maybe Van Fillinger, maybe Dorian Singer if he has some crazy breakout. If somebody were able to break through and we would do a post-2024 college football season here in the state of Utah, who would be somebody maybe from BYU? I got a couple guys
one
on the
for
list.
BYU that I feel confident in saying Ben Bywater.
Buckus semifinalist last year.
Could have just a crazy, assuming he's back healthy with the experience he has, could have just a crazy good final season with the Cougars.
I put with a giant question mark next to it because he could have a breakout season. And he's a 4-star guy. He was one of the best recruits coming out of El Paso, Texas. LJ Martin. Could he have a 1,600-yard type season because he's got that talent level apparently, but can they turn their running game around so much so that could be the case? Maybe?
I think BYU has to do that in order to make it to a bowl game next year.
All right.
They've got to run the football a lot, and LJ Martin would be the guy behind a revamped offensive line.
Could you combine a bunch of BYU quarterbacks and make them on the list?
Which ones are we combining?
The ghost of Gary Bohannon, the Jake Retzlaff, and then McKay Hillstead, the 3-headed monster.
You got 3 quarterbacks, you have none.
You got Gary Bohannon's feet. You got McKay Hillstead's arm. You got Jake Retzlaff. All right, we'll come back. Ike Larson, maybe out of Utah State?
I said, if Utah State has a player that would make the top 100, Ike Larson does everything, and I think he's actually worthy of consideration.
Nice. All right, let's take a break. We're late. We'll get back in, and we will come back and chat a little bit around the corner. Some NBA playoffs around the corner. Hey, why did you count out the Timberwolves, the Thunderwolves? We'll come back and we'll talk NBA next right here at 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.